Hey everybody, it's Dan O'Connor. I wanted to come live just because I have not talked to everybody in a long time, and I wanted to just check in and see how everybody's doing and answer any questions that people might have live. I gave no notice for this, and so if you are here, it's because you got a notification, and I appreciate you joining us. So I'm going to start off today going through, by the way, how do you like my Mr. Magoo glasses? They're the only ones that I had around. Uh, I'm going to start off by reading a few different questions that I have in, okay, no, I'm going to try to do this by myself. I'm not good at this. I'm going to read a few questions that I got recently in YouTube. So, what to say to somebody? I was asked what to say. Hey, Melissa. Hey, be blazed. And hey, me, the Toshi, and Jenny Novak. Hello, everybody. What to say to a person who takes every question as a personal offense? You know, I have to tell you. So Olga, the love of my life, well, one of them, you know, she, every time I ask her for anything, like I'll be, Olga, have you seen my glasses? Have you seen my wallet? Nope, but we're all going to stop whatever it is right now and we're going to find it. Nobody's leaving here till it's found because I'm not getting blamed for it. And I was like, Olga, I'm just asking you if you've seen it. I'm not, why would you think that I think you steal from me, yet I keep you around? But when somebody's taking everything as a personal offense, you know, I would just try to use the passive voice when you're talking about things so that you're not talking about what people did or what anything has been done, you know, excuse me. So you're not talking about so much what people are doing to things or what people are doing, you're talking about what is being done. So try doing that if you are forced to talk to, and I understand what you're talking about, I think, when you ask somebody any question and they're like, well, why would you say that? Why are you asking me about that? Did somebody not tell me that I'm being investigated? You know, just talk in the passive voice. Remember, the passive voice is, as opposed to I kicked the ball was kicked. You know what I mean? So the active voice is the subject of the sentence acting and doing something. Passive voice is the subject of the sentence receives action. Try that. But you really can't do a whole lot about it if somebody's just has a complex. Hey, Samuel, I was describing your mother. Well, you see, I have a special thing with mothers. May she rest in peace someday soon. You know, there's something about mothers that just, my old gal, God bless her. I just can't help it. Think of her fondly. I'm gonna go see her tonight. May she rest in peace shortly. Hey, Linus. Okay, hi from Chicago. You know, I used to live in Chicago. I loved it. Thank you, Samuel, for subscribing. Yeah, I don't know why it hasn't been recommending my videos either. Okay, how to answer a bossy coworker who constantly tells me how to do my job by saying something like, please do this or please do that. What I have found is with bossy coworkers who are telling you what to do, I've said to them, you know, I always try to take everything as this is about me. It's not about you and what you're saying. It's about, I have to ensure that I'm only taking instructions from one person so that I can be clear and make sure that I'm doing the job the way I'm supposed to be. And that person is Trixie. So unfortunately, I'm, you know, so you can figure the rest out. I'm not going to listen to you because Trixie's the one I listen to. So that's the way I like to put things like that. Hey, you know, I understand. You might want to preface it with, I understand you're trying to be helpful. However, I have to only take instructions from one person because that way I have accountability and can ensure that I'm doing the things that are doing things the way that I'm supposed to be doing them according to the person who will at the end grade me. So that's how I tend to tell coworkers, stuff it, bossy face. The answer to a bossy okay, same, that's the one. Okay. Oh, I had a video recently where I said, and by the way, please don't be distracted by these. I have no idea. My brother puts these ideas into my head. When you're saying to somebody in a meeting, for example, hey, I'm going to go get busy and be a positive change in the world. No one has a problem with that. Do they? That's not how I'd say it. You know, I'd say, hey, no one has a problem with that, right? That's okay with everybody, isn't it? If somebody does say, yes, that's a problem with us, we want you to stay and, you know, contribute to our misery. In that case, just use the broken record. Well, I would love to, if you wanted to say something like that. However, unfortunately, as I just said, I don't have anything to contribute to this conversation. I don't have anything positive to contribute to this conversation. Therefore, I'm going to be exiting this conversation. So if you've already told people, hey, I don't have anything to give you, so I'm out of here, and they somehow want to drag you back in with them, just repeat yourself. Remember, the broken record is the most underused and undervalued, and one of the actually best communication tactics of all time, because most people don't ever use it, and it's so simple. One of the reasons people don't use it is because they don't know what they just said a minute ago to begin with. Most people are just kind of throwing words out, first thing to the brain, first thing out of the mouth, which is not always bad, but sometimes we got to think, like Aretha Franklin always said. Okay, let's go, let's go, let's go. You know it, Liberty. Good old Trixie. I know you gotta love Trixie. Hey Dan, hope you're doing well. Thank you, Walter. I'm doing very well. I had COVID recently, I think. Well, I'm pretty sure I did. It was fine. I had like 3 vaccinations, and then I gave it to my mom's friend, so got rid of it quick. Sorry, Mary Lou. Okay, how can I express myself? How can I express myself more freely to other people? Thank you for that question, Walter. That's a great one. I think being authentic and what's the word? I think being authentic and genuine is the most difficult thing for just about anybody to do, Walter. So if that is something that you struggle with, you're not alone. And I think I'm going to guess, Walter, you are probably much more expressive than you think you are. Maybe your personality just is not, there are the 4 core personality types, and we all have a mixture of them all. Maybe you are not as expressive, let's say, as your brother. My brother is a huge extrovert, and I'm not. I just play one on TV. But my brother, he loves to go out and talk to people. He's always talking to people. He's really involved in social media. He cares about people's life. He remembers their birthdays and, comments on their walls and stuff. And that's just natural for him. Don't look at somebody else in the way that they relate to people and believe that, oh, I wish that I could, do more of that, because I'm going to guess that by nature of you saying, how can I express myself more freely to people? I'm going to guess that you do it a lot more freely than you would yourself believe. I bet if you ask people around you, they would say that you are. By the way, if you're talking about, instead of I might have misunderstood you. I was at the beginning thinking, how can you just express yourself more? Maybe what you're really getting at is how can you tell people what they mean to you more? And you want to express that part of you, because that's really the most important thing I think that people want from us, to know that they are important to us. And if you have trouble with that, I would just recommend practicing it. For example, in some of my videos, I talk about the when you I feel because, which is something that I like to say to people when I need to express myself when I'm angry. But you can also use it when you need to just tell somebody, when you take time out of your day to just come over and visit with me like that, I feel like I have a place here, and I appreciate that, because I haven't always felt that way, and you're the only one who's ever done that. So I appreciate that. If you tell people when I feel because, when you bring me to work, when you take time to pick me up on the way to work, I feel like someone really sees me and loves me, and that's so important to me, because I haven't always felt that in my life. So thank you. People will pass out when I feel because. So try little scripts like that. That might help you express yourself if that's what you mean, if you're trying to let people know what they mean to you. And there is no way that you can get it wrong, by the way. I think it's just about taking the opportunities to do that. And I'm going to guess that you do. So way to go. It's just, I think we all struggle feeling the same way, Walter. How do you communicate? Okay, AG. Hey, AG. How do you communicate? By the way, I'm doing my best to read the comments. As you can see, it's not easy for me. How do you communicate to your subordinate and you don't want to know about their personal life without being supportive? That is so interesting. That was the next question on my list. Okay, what I recommend doing, and for many different reasons these days, if somebody's talking about their personal life, especially if they are your subordinate, being gentle with them and saying something along the lines of, like when you have a moment in private, I have to share something with you that somebody shared with me a long time ago, and it made a big difference in my life. You're a very expressive person, like Walter is striving to be, and that's great. but not at work, because that can get you into a lot of trouble. And I'm telling you that because I want to be not just your manager, but your mentor and your friend. So in addition to that, I have to tell you, I have to stop being a part of that and listening to it. So in the future, if I tell you, hey, remember to keep personal conversations to private times, it's not because I don't want to have a personal relationship with you. It's because that's something we do outside of work. So explain to them just very matter-of-factly what it's about. In this day and age, you might want to tell them, in this day and age, you can really get into a lot of trouble sharing things because not everybody takes things the same way. And it's always best at work with your colleagues to share as little as possible, especially because there was that video recently. I want to say it was a TikTok video of the nurse, and she was telling people that you should never share anything personal ever. And if you ever meet anyone who has worked with me, they'll tell you I'm a totally different person, because I'm always like, you have nothing to add to that, because it's true. I have found in my life, unless there is a really specific reason for every word that I'm about to say in a company, in a corporate setting, in a company setting, in an organization, I won't say anything, because every single word counts, and I have to either have a good reason for saying it, or I'm not going to say anything because I don't just want to say something to tell people about my personal life. There's no way that could ever serve you ever, but it could impact you negatively in many different ways. So explain that to her, or him or her, your subordinate, in a moment that is private. And by the way, during that moment, tell them like this. This is a private moment. You and I are taking a few minutes outside of work to talk about a personal issue. Well, it's actually a work issue, but you know what I mean? That's what I would do. Just be tender about it, and they will appreciate that. So don't hold back, because that's a great, great lesson. Yeah, it's fantastic that you want to tell them, by the way. Thank you for that question, and tell them that. What do you say to an office manager who displays on the schedule why you are off? For example, oh my gosh. For example, because I have a doctor's appointment? Are you kidding? Okay, or I'm off because I'm taking personal time versus vacation time. She does this to no one but me? Well, first, regardless of HIPAA, you need to just tell your boss, excuse me, there's no need to put the reasons why you shouldn't even have to have this conversation, so I would keep it as short and sweet as possible. Please refrain from putting my personal information, like why I'm taking my days off, when I have a day off. Unless there's some reason, like maybe. And I always try to put this as a caveat, because it never ceases to amaze me when I try to genuinely ask somebody, what's the deal with that? Why would you do that? It never ceases to amaze me how people are like, oh, well, it's because of blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. So I'm always amazed at how it is the people that I believe are trying to do me wrong that are not. So just in case, maybe there's some strange accounting reason. There's somebody else looking at that schedule that actually is benefiting from that, and she just never thought, oh my gosh, of course you don't want your personal stuff out there. I'm just saying. But I would ask your boss why, and then tell her to ixnay that. That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Okay, while being supportive, can that even be done? Yeah. AG, you can always, you can be supportive no matter what you're saying. And it's kind of like I always talk about, you can be loving no matter what you're saying. I don't need to be like, I love you, I love you, I love you, or be, hugging you and calling you sweetheart. But when I am coming from a place of wanting to love you as a person, I love you, and I have that in my mind, or when I want to support you and help you in your career, every word you speak will be infused with that spirit. And I have watched people divorce in a loving way and support one another in the process. I've watched people be fired and fire other people in a supportive, loving way and remain friends and colleagues to this day. And I can't believe the things that I have witnessed that have been done in a compassionate, supportive way. And it's just, every time I see it, I'm like, oh my, another miracle. I can't believe it. So yes, you can always do it in a supportive way. Just here's the trick. You have to actually be wanting to be supportive. And it sounds like you are. So I wouldn't worry too much about the little things. If the foundation of what we're saying, if the substance of it is clear, then the form of what we're saying, the words, will follow shape, will take shape much more naturally. So worry about that substance. You know, the substance is, I'm going to support you and I want to nurture you and mentor you. And one of the lessons you need to learn is you need to stop flapping those gums so much about your personal life. That's a good message. And that can be done in a very supportive way. Marty. Hey, Monica. Marty, my brother. Yeah, you know, yes, right, you know Marty. Yep, Marty, yes, that's right. You're from, I think, Minneapolis. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you. And I know that I kind of sound like I'm stuffed up still. I just sound like that. I'm not. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad Appy Apple. Thank you, Appy Apple. Colibri Flyer. I appreciate your opinion on this matter. I'm male and the narc is also male. The narcissist, I think, or is this like some prison lingo for the oh, you know what? I bet I missed your first. Hold on one moment, and I'm going to go back and try to get what you probably have already told me, and I missed it, or maybe I'm scrolling the wrong way. Okay, I did not see the first part of your message, and I can't find it. The colibri, you just wrote about, I think, a narcissist. If I'm on the right track, let me know and add a little bit to that so that I can answer your question. Is when you I feel because reserved for expressing positive feelings. No, oh gosh, no. Monica, the when you I feel because is, I'm going to tell you it as quickly as I can. The first time I really found the power in it. I like to use it to express when I'm mad or when I'm frustrated with what somebody's doing. Like the first time I saw the miracle it created was when I was with my mother and we were getting on the airplane. Oh, I have to publish a video from her. She's the mistress of gift receiving. And I got it on tape and I'm going to publish that tonight. But she and I were getting on a plane going to I don't know where. And I sat down next to her and she said something where I was like, I had it planned out for I don't know how long. I was like, next time she says that, because I kept trying to engage with her and trying to one-up her on the behavior that I did not want her to continue. So I was, out of my mind, just trying to, throw darkness and more darkness and think that I was going to get anywhere. But I said to her something along the lines of, when my opportunity presented itself, I said, Mom, when you call me names like that in front of other people, I feel embarrassed and humiliated because it reminds me of when I was name called in the playground as a child. And she was like, oh my God, why didn't you ever tell me that? And I'm like, aha, that's the look I was waiting for. I was like, oh my God, I got through to her. And so I just remember thinking to myself, I'm just gonna let you think about that. And I did. And she was quiet the whole plane trip. I felt so bad because my mother is never, giving her, her due. My mother is never trying to hurt my feelings. Even if she's teasing me or whatever, it's so that I can be a better communicator and so that I can be stronger, so that I can be sharper, whatever. But she would never want to hurt my feelings. And I think she, at the end of the flight, she said something, here's what you'll hear. And why didn't you ever tell me that before? And I'm like, I've told you that a million times, Mom. You just never heard it before. And I thought, ding, ding, ding. That's the breakthrough when I just said it out loud. I've said it a million times. You just never heard me before. And so sometimes if I were to tell you, Monica, when you don't take the garbage out like you say you would, like you say you were going to, I feel let down and unloved because I do those things for you because I love you and want to show it to you. And so when you don't, I am confused as what's going on here. People are like, ah! So yes, they're usually used for negative things, as a matter of fact. So go for it. And you will save yourself thousands in marriage counseling. If people can just be more direct with what we need to say to other people and say, rats. But when you do this, I feel this way because that, or it could be very simple, by the way, Monica. When you talk to me like that, I feel frustrated because I love you and I don't talk to you like that. So I love it. I love it. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I think the dog is barking because I think I have people here. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome, AG. Okay, nice to catch you. Hey, from Norfolk, who is that? Delinda? Delinda, that's a delightful name. Cindy Turney, what should my response be to daily comments about my Southern accent in business conversations? Cindy, I apologize for the whole universe that is doing that to you. You know, I would try to remember this. I was just talking to a group of people who were dealing with a similar issue, where people were frequently commenting on something that the people thought was really fine to comment on. And they were like, if you only knew, I hear that all the time. It drives me crazy. I'm going to guess it's our blessing is our curse. I'm going to guess, Cindy, that people are, I don't know where you're from. I'm from Fargo, North Dakota. And so, I will, when I'm trying to use an accent, I think of Ross Perot. He was the first person I ever voted for. And I'm going to guess most people are kind of enchanted by your accent if they're commenting on it, and they think it's okay to do that because they think they're saying something that's complimentary. And I know that it's not, and that's really aggravating to you. I would try to live with it, because it's one of those things, like someday, if you weren't so noticed by other people, I think you might want some to hear that. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, because, my head's a little bit still foggy, but I would think that if it's not something that people are deliberately doing to offend you, it's one of those things where we just kind of have to learn. The more visible you are, Cindy, I'm going to guess you're not a very invisible person. I'm going to guess you're visible. And I was just talking about that with someone the other day too. A lot of people who hear comments about their physical appearance constantly, or the way that they look, or the way that they talk, the way that they are, it's because people look at them and think, how could you ever be offended by anything that I'm going to say? You are a darling. I would run around the streets naked if I looked like you. You know what I mean? I would be in a different world. And so I would try to remember that every time they say that, and think that, the world, I think, just notices you, and wouldn't it be terrible if they didn't? And I'm saying that also because I do not have a good answer for that. Okay. If I did, I would tell you. But that's what I always think. I always think to myself, why would we want to say anything? I'm going to tell you this quickly because I have to get going anyway. The issue that I was dealing with, and this might just make you maybe think about it. There were some people who were new in a congregation. Excuse me, they were not new in a congregation. They had been at this congregation their whole life, and they were asking me for help because the people that they would see at the congregation had never noticed them before. And after 20 years, they were still getting people saying to them, here's the hymn book, it's on page 23. And they were like, I've been here more than you, I've been here longer than you have. And they wanted to tell these people that, hey, I'm a member of this congregation and I've been one longer than you, so just you stop treating me like I'm new here. They wanted to tell them that, and I'm not kidding, in a way that made it sting. And I was like, I'm not understanding what you're saying. And they said, yeah, I'm always made to feel bad, and like people don't notice me, and like I'm like this big outsider because every time I meet somebody, they just assume that I'm new or that I'm not from here, when I've been here my whole life and I'm always from here. And I want to tell them in a way, I want to respond in a way that makes it sting a little bit, so that they're the ones who feel bad. And they're the ones who have to think about it for a couple of weeks instead of me. And I'm like, really? Wait a minute. You want to take my grandma? I'm thinking, my grandma's next to you in church. She looks over at you and she sees somebody who she thinks is new and hasn't seen before. So she's reaching out to you and trying to be welcoming and telling you where we are in the hymnal. And you want to slap her in the face so that she feels bad about that and thinks about what she did. I don't have anything to help you. I just don't. So that is not your situation, Cindy. I realize that. But, somewhere on that, maybe I think we have all found ourselves dealing with that. And it's really tough. So try to grin and bear it. I bet you're just darling. That's it. It is. They think that your accent is just darling. Okay. And I apologize that people would make those types of comments. I apologize. How should one deal with eye rolls, side looks, and other passive-aggressive behaviors to diminish a person in a passive-aggressive way? Okay, thank you. That's a great question. How would you deal with eye rolls, side looks, and other passive-aggressive behavior? What I find to be effective with that, if I'm, it's usually in a group setting, because or else nobody would have anyone to whom they would roll their eyes. If somebody does that stuff, they roll their eyes, they scoff, they make comments that are not meant to you, and that are, oh, nothing, oh, okay, first of all, call people on it. That's the number one thing, but you want to make sure to do it in a very clear, direct way. I don't want to engage at all in that type of nonsense. And so, I mean, sometimes we do it for fun, but if this is, for work and I'm not having that and I'm here to be professional, that's the way I consistently am. We want to call it out by saying something such as, now, by the way, you want to face them. So move your body towards them so that all my focus is going to be right on you, and I'm going to be clear and direct because you can't stand that because you are not a clear and direct type of person. So I'm going to call you out. I'm going to face you, call you by name and say something like, Cindy, you can scoff all you want, but blah, blah, blah. And then keep on saying what Cindy, you can roll your eyes all you want, but that is the decision that we have made. Cindy, you can whatever, call it out and then say, or maybe you want to say, Cindy, what do you mean when you say that? When you scoff or when you roll your eyes like that, are you trying to say yada, yada? Those are called, by the way, blacklight questions. So to begin them with, when you do this behavior, are you trying to blah, blah, blah? And then ask them, because if you are, you can just tell me, are you trying to say that you didn't like that idea? Because if that's what you're trying to say, you could just tell me. It's okay. But, I kind of got a tone there. I wouldn't want to. I would want to be more tender with somebody and say, Ginny, if you have a problem with what I'm saying, you can tell me that. It's okay. Because people like that, they don't know how to express themselves, or they would, in a healthy way. So I would forgive them, but call them on it every single time. Make them be clear. Tell them I'm calling you on it, and it will take all the fun of it away from them. Okay. And I apologize. My dogs barked because they were announcing someone here, so I have to roll. Yes, the eye roll best response. I've asked if they have something to add. If they have something in their eye, well, it's hard sometimes to keep kindness in your voice, right? But you know what helps? I can't tell you. I used to give two courses a day on the road. So I would give a course in the morning, then a course in the afternoon, go to a new city, course in the morning, course in the afternoon. And they were all different groups, hundreds of people. And I learned right away that the people who would stand up, because some of them would stand up and be like, hey, I have a question. That's not going to work. My boss would never do that. No, you don't know, blah, blah, blah. That's all, and I mean all of the people who would stand up and kind of cause a problem, I thought, and challenge me and try to embarrass me is what I thought was going on. All of them, guaranteed, every single time. When I started to get to know them, and I would, because I was not the kindest. I might have said something like, why don't we talk about that during break? And that's how I would, at first, because I was learning. I might have started that. And then during break, I would talk to them. And I was like, you're like a huge supporter of me? I didn't get that. I was not feeling the love. And what I realized was anybody who's taking the time to engage with us, ask somebody ask an invisible person what that would be like. They'll take it. So many people are invisible. They are not relevant. People don't bother to say sarcastic things to them. People don't bother to push them around because they are not relevant. And I don't believe anyone fits that category. However, a lot of people feel that way. And what I've learned is anybody who's engaging with me, even if it's in a nasty way, is at work. It's very rare that the underlying intention is not to just connect with me. They've heard what I'm saying. Maybe they didn't agree with it, but I'm evidently valuable enough to voice an opposition to what I'm saying. So I can never underestimate the power of believing that somebody's intentions are not negative if they appear to be, that they're just doing the best they can with what they've got, like we all are, and they're trying their best. And so let's help them along, because we have more tools than other people do. I mean, most people don't know. So I apologize for cutting everybody off. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm going to do this more often. I'm thinking about doing this tomorrow. Make sure to sign up for notifications so that, is that what it is? You subscribe and the notification bell, and I'll see you here. Remember, if you're lucky enough to be with somebody that you love, tell them that, and whatever you have to say to them, say it in a loving way. I love everybody, and I'm gonna go see some people who I really love because they give me food. I'm coming over, Mom. If you're watching, she's not watching. She doesn't watch.